Pane nyaya yekuurawa kwaVP Chiwenga, nyaya yekutraya kuassasinatwa kwaVP Chiwenga ndio nyaya takabata nezvayo pano. Tiri kuti mapolitical thinkers mhuri yestate of affairs isusu tauya takagukuchira nyaya hombe, nyaya inotyisa, nyaya inovhundutsa. Hatingouyiwo nenyaya dzakadai so, but mukaona tauya nadzo pane zvimwe zvinhu zvatoda kuti munotise, zvimwe zvinhu zvatoda kuti munge muchiziva. So umwe mutauri wari kutaura nezvake pana kutaura kuti VP Chiwenga hativenge Emmerson Mnangagwa, asi nyaya iripo ndeyekuti VP Chiwenga ndivo vakaunza Emmerson Mnangagwa kuti atore simba kuti ave mutungamiriri wenyika yeZimbabwe. But zviri kunzi ED acknowledged it by try to assassinate him, zvichireva kuti VP Chiwenga ndiye aida kuassassinatwa through poison. Ende pane foto rinogara richiseculator VP Chiwenga vachiratidza kuti vane macables akaenda pamuviri wavo ari kubatsira kufema, pamwe chete havasi kunzwa zvakanaka, vari kurwara zvokuti vaigona kufa patime yacho iyoyo. Pane foto rakatorwa rinogara richiseculator vakafuga chigumbezi. So foto iroro rinonzi rakatorwa naMary Baiwa, ndiye akatora foto iroro akarisa mupublic domain. Kana ndimiwo murume wako ari kurwara, iwo wotora foto rakadaro wotenderedza pasocial media, unenge uchizama kuda kuti zviite sei, unenge uchizama kuda kuita sei. So vese vaitofungidzira kuti Chiwenga apa kuti kutoparara, but akazongomutswa. Mwari ndewe munhu wese, Mwari anochengeta munhu. Isusu nyaya yedu pairi inyaya iri kubva kuna comrade ava, tingoverenga ipapo tobva taenda kudocument rakalika richitaura mashoko ari kuzotyisa manje, ndopatara kuti tionesane ipapo. Saka document tisati taenda kwariri pari kunzi when I say ED is evil, I'm not saying it out of hatred. VP Chiwenga brought ED to power, but ED acknowledged it by trying to assassinate him through poisoning. My warning goes to the current generals and officers. Trust ED at your own risk. So those vari kutaurawo comrade ava, but toda kuti tipinde panyaya yaChinenge, yaDominic Chinenge aka VP Chiwenga. Toda kuti munyatsonzwa kuti how strong is VP Chiwenga panyaya dzezvematongerwo enyika munyika yeZimbabwe kusvika kumauto, kuti vakasiya basa here kana kuti havana kusiya basa, kuti ndiani kana muchivaona izvozvizvi. Ndokuti ndiri kuona Varakashi nevamwe vanhu veZANU PF, vamwe vechidiki dika vasinganyatsoziva nyaya dzinenge dzichiitika, kuti munenge muchingomhanyira masaidzi amusiri kuziva, muchingomhanya naED. ED akapedzwa kudhara. Munhu wamuri kumhanya naye achakusiyai muri panguva yakaoma kana kusiyai muri mumajeri muchitambira zvinhu zvekuba zvisina kubhadhara majuti, kunyanya imi muri kupiwa motokari. Muchaona kuti munenge musina kungwara panguva shoma shoma yatasarirwa nayo, because imi maukamu kuti munotaura kuti ED anosvika 2030, imi muchiona kuti makore ake antonzi chaiwo chaiwo atori kuma 87, ari kuma nearly 90 years. Imi muri kumhanya kuti nemudhara iyeyo, muri kufunga kuti anosvika kupi? Anosvika 100 here. Alright, regai tipinde munyaya zvizere. Randakabata panapa, it's a special document, it's a top secret yatoda kuti tishare nhasi. Toda kuti inoverenga padiki because kumwe zvimwe zvacho hazvisi kuzooneka, but zvakavharwa vharwa, saka tinogona kunge taakupotsa potsa. So panapa pari kunzi Dominic Chinenge ndo zita raChiwenga rekuhondo iroro, is an astute Zimbabwean national and the general who is the shadow head of the military and designated with the tier 5 credentials within the presidency. The positioning of Chiwenga in office and his clear-cut background that has been entrusted by his peers has placed him in the center of an aggressive ploy to assassinate him using a contracted asset identified as a bedrock. Right. Muri Zimbabwe ndofunga zvinhu zvebedrock izvi zvinhu zvine chekuita nemasurveillance ekuti unenge uchimonitwa zvese zvauri kuita. Saka zviri kunzi surveillance yakanga iripo, VP Chiwenga vachiterwa nevanhu vavasingazive, vachifambwa navo vachitwa sei, but zvinofungidzirwa kuti type maplans iwayo akange achibva nekuBelarus, because system iyoyo yebedrock iyo iri kunzi inonyanyoitika kumaChina platforms, kumacommunications, ndo kune zvinhu zvakafanana izvozvo, kuti unenge uchimonitwa uchionekwa kuti uri papi, zvii zvauri kuita, mafone calls ako ese vari kufona ari kutaura nezvei, hauna kana chekuu here chauri kuronga, unenge uchimonitwa. Ndo system yange iri pana VP Chiwenga kusvikira vazonopoisonwa vaitwa zvavakaitwa, ndo nyaya dzacho dzange dziripo. Saka mamiriro azvakaita panapa muri Zimbabwe ndo nyaya tiri kutokuudzai information yakange ichibudiswa. So zviri kunzi pane ma DNA and urine samples akatorwa yakakolektwa aChiwenga. So muri Zimbabwe ndo mamiriro azvakaita. Saka ukaona umwe wako wawapinza pachigaro akukufungira mweya wakafanana neuyu watuta nezvavo panapa, zvinenge zvisina kumira zvakanaka. Saka ndo mamiriro azvakaita. Isusu hapana kwatichaenda, tichakusiyai muri kuvana veZimbabwe vamwe vari kumira neZimbabwe zvakaomarara panapa, vachitaurawo nyaya dzavo nenhoroondo dzavanenge vachitaura dzenyika nemacurrent information avanenge vainavo.
So much, gentlemen and ladies here. Well, I don't need much time to speak because currently I'm trying to go home and I'm in the middle of traffic. So I might be hooked up by the police and be in trouble. But I think we need to scrutinize the issue of Chabangu and Nelson at a very high level as learned people. There's one guy, I think it's Fabish, who said Nelson is an advocate, a lawyer by profession. And it comes to my surprise that a lawyer of that magnitude can fail at times to do things the proper way things are supposed to be done. I'm sure one other thing why Chabangu is claiming that Nelson is still their president is because, to my understanding, Nelson only resigned through the social media. He didn't send the letter to the party and say, I have resigned. And to that effect, he will have a very difficult time to win that case in these courts of ours, which are not fair. So definitely, if he has got some advisors, I think they need to advise Nelson properly so that if he needs to start up something new, he would humble himself and resign properly from CCC. That is if they will accept it as well. But anyway, as long as you've written a formal resignation, whether they like it or not, you have resigned and you'll have nothing to do with them. So this is where Chabangu is now taking advantage of Nelson and is keeping on claiming that Nelson is my president because of that. So I don't know Nelson's advisors, what they're actually trying to do. Then there's another situation again here. People speak that Nelson is working with ZANU PF. That's the people's opinions. We are citizens, people have different opinions. Some say because of the ambiguity, there's a strategic ambiguity, it is also possible here that Nelson as an advocate, he knows everything in terms of law, but he is skipping some other sections of the law as if he doesn't know, to actually make the process difficult for the citizens. That is if he is working with ZANU PF. It's very possible. Then thirdly, there is also a rumor that there are three issues on the table, on Nelson's table right now. One, the issue of GNU towards 2028. It's on his table. Number two, there's the issue of pushing out Mnangagwa through the Chiwenga faction. It's also on his table. And then there's the issue of the business personnel, Vanata Guirei. They've also have their issue with Nelson, which they want him to assist them in one way or the other to outweigh the other faction of ZANU PF. So it is now difficult for Nelson to actually be known exactly where he stands, because the one big problem is the ambiguity. We don't know. He's not saying anything. He simply says, like now he always speaks of unity. But unity with who? If you listen when he says We want to be united as Zimbabweans and build our country. But when you say to him, okay, can you have other guys like Job Sikala, the guys like Tendai Biti, and be united to become a united force? He says, no, I don't want the old guards. Now it becomes again questionable. Who does he want to unite with when he's speaking of unity? So everything is bringing a lot of complexity to the people. People are so confused. People don't know exactly which direction is Nelson going. Maybe that's the ambiguity part of it. But it's giving a headache to the voters. Now people are stuck. Some are celebrating that Nelson is back. Some are saying, no, he has been called back by ZANU PF. After ZANU PF realized some issues within themselves and say, let's bring back Nelson, so that you push on the others end and confuse again the voters, so that the voters will not concentrate on the issues of ZANU PF. So there's quite a lot that is happening currently in the country, and people are so confused. It's unfortunate, guys. I'll come back later if you are still on, because the traffic is a bit moving. I need to drive and I shouldn't be on the phone. I'll come back, guys. I'm sorry for this.
Thank you.
This guy is just further confused you.
Thank you for that submission. All right, I'll take another next speaker. I think it's Nika. Nika, are you there? Nika.
The opposition are confused.
Yes, I'm here. Thank you.
Okay.
Confused.
Thank you.
And utotaura kuno netimu rangu remasiya.
No, text.
Kuti makonfused.
Text, I think text. Let's just respect the decorum so that we can proceed. Okay, it's Nika.
Okay, thank you very much. I think what I'm going to say perhaps has been mentioned by a number of people. I didn't manage to hear what a lot of the other people before me said. But I'm assuming someone might have mentioned this, but I was just say it anyway. We have always said our problem is not the opposition in Zimbabwe. Our problem since the colonial times has always been a predatory political party which calls itself a government that is, represents the people. In actual fact, it represents itself. We saw this happen during the Smith regime. We saw this happen during the Mugabe regime. We have seen this happening during the Mnangagwa regime. ZANU PF does not want to see a thriving Zimbabwe. A thriving Zimbabwe means a thriving opposition, a thriving ruling party, which competes on level terms, on level ground with the opposition, and accepts defeat and accepts when it's not popular and moves away for the interests of the country. To allow development to happen in a country. We have not seen that happen. So what we are seeing at the moment is a repetition of all the horrible things that make ZANU PF when it comes to opposition in Zimbabwe. ZANU PF has not allowed opposition to operate like a government in waiting, therefore stifling the possible development that comes with such democratic ways of doing things in a country. We see this happen in other countries. An incumbent, much as they may try to make themselves very strong, they submit to the institutions of the country. They submit to the constitution of a country. They submit to the will of the people. Hence, you do see that the economy is thrived, because if your politics is shitty, your economics will be shitty. If your politics is good, your economy is going to be good. Your economics is going to be good. So we see here ZANU PF machinations again happening. They have kept Shabangu there because they knew that at some point Chamisa would come back. He's the only possible option for Zimbabwe. He's the only person who can really challenge ZANU PF in terms of popularity and in terms of making sense and all that. They knew that Chamisa has not gone away, because since Chamisa stepped away from this mess that was going on after the 2023 elections, there was always talk of Chamisa coming. They delayed it. You remember the days of the blue movement when things were being painted blue and so on and so on. And Anamas Babawe Shanduko were doing all kinds of things to indicate that Chamisa was near coming. But he delayed that coming back because ZANU PF mess was, being seen everywhere, trying to make sure that that did not happen. Now that this has happened, they are, flaunting again their red cards through Jabangu and a few other people that they've always kept around, to make sure that they mess around with the opposition politics in this country. So it's not a surprise for some of us. We knew that this was going to happen, but I can safely say, whether they like it or not, Chamisa and a strong opposition are going to happen in Zimbabwe. And I will also say, Zimbabweans, brace yourself for more killings by ZANU PF. Brace yourselves for the besieging of the rural areas where ZANU PF had sort of relaxed, thinking that opposition had gone away. Be prepared to see that. Be prepared to see the coming back of Mabesis and so on and so on. All those horrible things that you used to know around 2008 and at any other point in Zimbabwe when things were really shitty. Be prepared to see those things. When those things begin to happen, then we have genuine opposition politics happening in Zimbabwe. And I can guarantee you that around this time, now perhaps is the time for Zimbabweans to take this power away from ZANU PF. Because if they have the audacity to sort of shit in front of us like this, with people like Chabangu and all these, whom we know is not an independent person. He is a ZANU PF straight from the office of the CIO of ZANU PF. It says a lot about who we are as a people when we allow such mess to happen, and when we allow, even to have a debate like this, to say, these things should be debated on the streets and not here where we are on the platforms. In other countries, you mess up, you meet the people on the streets. See what's happening in America, in Minnesota, and all these other, just that someone has been shot does not stop people from going back to protest. This is where you see how strong civilian participation in determining their future, their present, is very important. And this is what we as Zimbabweans need to have. And this is what Chamisa said in his maiden speech coming back, that, as Zimbabweans, we need to defend what's ours. If we don't, then we're always going to remain in this mess. So I hope we're just not going to, spend our time listening to all these ZANU PF voices that are here, that are talking about lawfare and all these other stupid things that ZANU PF has always, used to hold this country back. I just hope that, now from 2026. The train is just going to go and bulldoze, no matter how much snow, how much, rocks are going to be put in front of us by ZANU PF, and make sure that ZANU PF actually goes. Because if we don't, we are going to last, 500 years under this despotic rule, just like what has happened in countries like, in other shitty countries like Russia, China, and so on, where people's rights have been trampled on for years, and people have gone on to accept that as their actual reality. So we do stand
Can I
the
ask you a
risk
question, my
of that
brother?
happening.
Can I ask you a
Sorry,
question? How do
you
you
can.
know that
Yes.
Chamisa
Yes.
is the only man that can remove ZANU PF? Because you made that statement. How do you know that Chamisa is the only one? Because you said we know that Chamisa is the only one who can fight against ZANU PF or who can remove ZANU PF. How do you know that?
Because you do see it from the actions of ZANU PF. Whenever ZANU PF is threatened by anyone, they do act this way. This is how they've always done it from independence to today. You should know that.
Reaction is not removal, is it?
Sorry?
Reaction is not removal.
Is that taxi?
He has been acting.
No, but my
Yes,
brother,
it's
you're
me.
not answering
Reaction
the
is not
Yeah,
question.
removal.
taxi.
No, seriously, guys.
Usapindura mvunzo just because wabvunzwa nomunhu.
Yeah, not Diani, because wanobvunza ndiri kupedza nguva yangu ndichidaira because hazvibatsiri chinhu.
But you're making
Yeah,
reckless
especially
statements
mbudzi
and
yacho kana
dangerous
idzaona na taxi
statements.
You're
haibatsiri
making
chinhu.
it
So how do you
bold
know?